Hi guys, this afternoon I'm going to record part 2 of the training your mind idea using our owl friend as our mind metaphor. So we're going to imagine that this owl is our mind and the thoughts that we think are the owl talking to us, which might sound a little bit strange, but if you watch activity 12 it will give you a little bit of a backstory of how we are going to see our mind as something that is separate from us. So just to give you a little brief introduction, it's understanding that the thoughts that we think aren't, or they don't have to be, ours. They will have come from somewhere in our lives, from other people and from places and from our culture and all sorts of things, and they kind of sink into our mind, they speak to our owl, and then our owl, our mind, will repeat those messages back to us. It's then up to us whether we want to listen to them or whether we want to think new stuff and different things. If your mind, your owl, is telling you things that aren't very good, like, you know, you are rubbish or you're not very clever or nobody likes you and those kind of things, we can choose to not pay attention to them and not take them on as beliefs that are true. So I'm going to show you a little activity that you can do to help you get to know your mind, because that is the first thing that you need to do to be able to manage your thoughts and choose positive over negative thoughts. You first of all need to learn what your thoughts are, and our thoughts are so sneaky and so subtle that often we don't realize that they're even there. They just kind of give us a feeling before we can even think, why do I feel like that? Or it might give us a feeling in certain situations, and what's happening is your mind is whispering in your ear and telling you how you should feel about certain things, and it will be all based upon events and people that you've had in your life in the past. And all of that is fine if we want to let other people and situations decide how we feel. But if actually we want to decide how we feel, we can choose to let go or just not pay attention to the negative messages and just choose lovely ones instead. So it takes a lot of practice, and it takes quite a strong will, which means you have to be quite determined to overpower the messages that your owl is giving to you, but it is possible and it is something that you can do. So the activity that you can practice is, first of all, you can either write these down or you can just think them to yourself, or you can have a chat with a grown-up and you can have a nice little conversation about it. I want you to think to yourself, what do I think about myself? So you can be as honest, please be as honest as you can for this to work really well. So some of you might think that you are wonderful, or that you are kind, or that you make friends easily, and you might think lots of lovely things. Some of you might also think, as well as the lovely things, that you know, that you're a bit mean, or that people don't like you, or that you have anxiety, or you are an angry person. So we have, everybody, every human will have beliefs about themselves, and what can happen if we truly listen to the beliefs when they are repeated to us over and over again is we can start to identify with them. That means that we can start to truly believe them so much that we just think that is it. That's exactly the way it's going to be, and that's exactly how I am. So what's the point even trying to be any different? And that's not true. We can change how we feel and what we think by practicing these sorts of techniques. So have a good long think and a good long conversation, if that's what you're choosing to do, or a good long writing session where you think about all of the thoughts you have about yourself Some of you might think that you're naughty, or that you're no good at writing, or you are, I don't know, rubbish at drawing, rubbish at football, all those things. So you might have some negative beliefs about yourself. Write them all down, and when you've done that, and when you've had your conversation, and when you've made a list in your mind of all those thoughts that you have about yourself, decide which ones are good and which ones are not so good. So that is quite an easy task, isn't it? So if you've written them down, if you have thoughts that aren't very nice and that don't make you feel good, just scribble them out, and you can just think, no, they've got to go. If you've had a conversation with somebody, you can discuss it with them and just say, actually, that's not a positive thought to think. What I want you to imagine, to truly get the message home that your thoughts and your mind is a separate thing from you personally, is I want you to imagine that from your list, your owl is telling you those messages. So your owl might be saying, you're rubbish at football, or nobody likes you. And it might also be saying, you're really good at drawing. So it might be saying nice messages as well. Imagine that when you have those thoughts, it's your owl telling you those things. It's your mind telling you those things. If you have thoughts that you like, you can say to your owl, and you can practice this, and you might feel a bit silly, get your grown-ups to do this as well, because you're never too old to audit your thoughts. You can say to your owl, if it's a nice message, you can practice saying, I know, thanks, so that you are taking ownership of those lovely positive thoughts. If it is a negative thought, imagine that your owl is telling you, you're really bad at drawing. And you can say to your owl, because you don't want to keep that thought, you can say to your owl, no, I'm not listening to you. And you are literally not going to pay that thought any more attention, because your mind, your owl, is quite persistent. It will say, it might even peck you and say, you're rubbish at drawing. And then you've just got to be calm and firm, and don't get too upset, because you know that this thought isn't yours. It's just something that your owl has remembered, something that your mind has remembered. So you don't have to get upset about it, and you will just say calmly again, no, I am good at drawing. I'm not listening to you. And eventually, if we do this enough times, our mind, our owl, will learn, and it will become trained, because we are the boss of our minds. We are the boss of this owl. Even if sometimes we don't feel like we are in charge. So the next time you get a thought, or the next time, you might even say them out loud, oh, I'm no good at that, I can't do that. The next time you do that, I want you to just pause and just reflect and think, that's my owl, that's my mind, that's my owl telling me that. I can choose to believe it if I want to, but I don't have to. And you can say to yourself, you can say it out loud if you want to, or you can say it inside your mind. You can just say, no, I can do this. I can give this a go, and I can give it my best shot, and that's what I'm going to do. So it's about taking control of your mind by seeing it as something that is separate from you. And using a cuddly toy or an owl or whatever is sometimes a helpful strategy to do that. Hope that's been useful. I'm going to do more recordings on using your mind effectively, because it's an excellent skill to have. It's essential really for good mental health, and it's also something that takes practice. So this won't happen straight away. Your thoughts won't suddenly become positive straight away. But the more you practice this, the easier it will become for you to decide how you feel about yourself and how you feel about life. I hope it's been useful, you guys, and I will catch you later.